All right, all you good citizens of Crypt Nation. Bryce Paul here, per usual, Crypto 101 podcast, Crypto Revolution, Crypt Nation. Right now it's Sunday evening. I'm recording this. It's 5:22 p.m. Pacific. Again, still quarantined, still trying to read the markets, still trying to keep you guys up to date with what's going on. But we just had about 1 hour ago some pretty historic news. So let me pull this up. You get, I can't make this shit up. I mean, this is just getting crazier and crazier by the day. We have President Donald Trump announcing that he's activated the National Guard in California, in the state of Washington, and in New York. So he's made it explicitly clear that this is not martial law. It just means that the state governors are going to retain command of the National Guard. Okay, standard. That's how it always is. But the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which is FEMA, again, you guys all remember FEMA probably from the Katrina crisis back in the Bush administration when there was that whole fake thing with FEMA. But this time it's a real thing with FEMA. They're going to cover all the costs of the missions to respond to the virus outbreak. So it's continuing to take some money out of federal taxpayer income instead of the state tax. Which, okay, 6 to 1, half a dozen to another. We're trying to socialize these losses, right? That's what happens in instances like this, where instead of being too heavy of a burden on one state, we socialize the losses of that one state to the betterment of the federation, right? The federal 50 states. So that's kind of interesting. That just happened about an hour ago. I'm going to send this video out in a big email this after or in the morning. So you guys might have already read it, but that's okay, guys. Basically, what's happening, more importantly than even that, is that the federal stimulus package for $4 trillion that we were talking about earlier in the day, it didn't get passed. This is pretty crazy. This is something that everybody kind of was pricing in. The market was pricing it in. We had bipartisan support from the speaker and from the Senate, right? And it's just one of those things where it's like the American public right now is just asking for help. We're saying, hey, give us a little bit of help, and we'll struggle through this for the next 90 to 120 days, but we need some short-term liquidity. And the politicians are fucking, pardon my language, using this time to make strong stances, while the American public goes down in flames and while small businesses crumble. So the Senate didn't pass the stimulus package. So what does that mean? Well, basically, the stalemate came just a couple hours after the Democratic leaders were warning that this bill, right, that everybody's trying to work on for $4 trillion frickin' dollars. I mean, this is a bailout. Excuse me. This is a bailout that's about 3.5, 4 times bigger than the bailout that they proposed in 2008, 2009. And why? What's going on? They're not passing this because the Democrats said that this bill is doing too much to bail out companies and not enough to bail out the worker. Okay, so they're basically saying that there's too many corporate. And again, it did introduce, this bill was introducing bailouts for some of the airlines that were pretty heavy. So I think it's good that we're going back to the drawing board again. I want both sides of this. I want the American economy to get some short-term liquidity so that businesses can get up and running. All of us could be back out having fun, doing our thing, not being quarantined. Basically making sure that the economy is still going, right? Everybody wants the economy to still go. But again, this is being politicized, and this happens every event, right? I mean, no matter what happens, the politicians are going to come in there, and there's bills and stuff that are trying to be passed very very quickly, and some people try and sneak in certain literature, right, or certain legislation that might help a super PAC or might help some entrenched interests. So the Democrats are coming back, at the end of the day, saying that, hey, Republicans, I think you went a little too far with bailing out some of these businesses and not enough to help the workers. So let's go back to the drawing board. Let's try and get this closed out by middle of next week. But in the what's it called? In the wake of all this, we see stock futures cratering. I mean, Sunday night pre-market trading for stock futures are already limit down. That's not good. That means they're down 5%. That the market is expecting on Monday's open already 5% decrease in asset prices. So that's not necessarily a positive sign for crypto. because as we said, we're trying to break this correlation, and crypto is trading almost like a futures on stocks, which is kind of interesting to look at. All I can say is probably at this time, maybe lower your bids a little bit. If the market opens up and it's another Black Monday event, what we're already pricing in, it could get pretty volatile on both the stock side and the crypto side. So, again, when you have uncertainty in the government and you have uncertainty with the cure for this virus and you have all this fear and emotion that's kind of wreaking havocs on the market, it's probably a good idea just to hedge your bet. You don't want to be too sure of one trade, right? So, of course, we're bullish long term on Bitcoin. This is the make it or break it moment. If we make it through this whole thing without going to zero, which we will, which I'm very positive that we will, it's going to be the coming to age story of crypto. Is that there's this monetary base that is outside of the normal federal government that can't be diluted, and that's a pretty powerful statement. And it's something that you could have and make transactions to anybody anywhere in the world instantly for virtually no cost. And that's a really, really powerful image. So at the end of the day, crypto is going to come out stronger, but in the short term, there's just so much uncertainty because the government can't figure out what the next step is. So that's kind of what's going on right now. We're obviously going to keep you posted on how everything's going. I'm going to try and go out and just go on a walk, get some daylight. I've been glued to the charts all day. I'm looking at this range right now for Bitcoin trading. Basically, 6,800 is the top of the range that we kind of topped out at. I guess this is on the 20th. The bottom of the range is about $4,000. Middle of that range is right at a nice volume profile range where we've had the most activity, most trading volume in this price level at 5,400. So if I were you, I mean, it kind of looks like this downtrend that started on February 12th is still intact. If you're trying to get positioned in this market, I would say, stagger your bids. Maybe place a bid down at 5,400. Maybe place a bid closer to the spread right now around 5,800. But probably the bulkier bids coming in to the low 5,000s, high 4,000s. That kind of seems like some price levels that are going to get hit in the near term. But guys, stay posted if you guys want to join and watch our intraday daily alerts that we're sending out. Go to crypto101insider.com, go to cryptorevolution.com, check it out. We're all over this market. We're paying attention to it 24/7. We got a nice little team here that is taking care of everybody here, part of Crypt Nation. So guys, that's the market update. Stay safe.